Hey, welcome back. Or if it's your first time, welcome. This week I plan on doing what I'm calling a poison Pokemon party. Pretty much I was playing Pokemon Go and I noticed a Trubbish outside and I started thinking of Garbodor and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to make a sculpture based on that. So I grabbed a piece of wood and planned out how I wanted it to look. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So at this point, I'm putting down some aluminum foil to do the base for a garbage mound that I plan on making out of Sculpey Original. And then my original idea was to have that turn into the Garbodor, but then I thought it'd be funnier if I had the Garbodor trapped inside a pile of trash. So I'm still working on blocking out the mount at this point, and then I start adding little rocks, which will eventually turn into the little pink and blue spots that are on Garbodor. And from here, I'm going to start adding a little bit of texture using a rolled up ball of aluminum foil to try and give the dirt mound, or the garbage mound I should say, a little bit of like tooth, a little bit of like maybe like grittiness to where it doesn't look like a nice little mountain. And at this point what I'm doing is I am adding Garbodor's hand that's going to be trapped under the mound. Later on I decide that the hand alone doesn't really give you the idea that it's actually Garbodor, so I'm going to add more to him. And here's our actual Garbodor. I went ahead and I added some rubbish to the mound, that way it looked like an actual pile of trash or just like discarded goods. And he's in there, he's just waving, saying hi. So from that point, I figured, alright, I have one poison Pokemon, I might as well make another one. So here is the process of making my Weezing. Originally, my plan was to make a couple of Qwilfishs, but I guess a couple of Qwilfishs would just be a Weezing, right? So I probably should explain what I'm doing. I did a pre-bake off camera for the actual shapes of the teeth. That way I could jam them into the soft clay and I can get the better structure for the mouth based around where the teeth were, so that way the lips would have the indents where they would naturally because of the protrusion of the teeth. So from here I'm working on the brow ridge, that way I can make sure he has that classic Weezing sad boy face. Now we're going to work on Little Head. To be honest, Little Head was way easier than the first head. It was pretty much just jamming that line and the teeth in, and then I could give the gum line that same ridge around the protruding teeth. And then I decide with him that he's going to have a little mad boy look instead of a little sad boy look. So you'll see that. I think it actually works out really well. Now we have to add a little noodle of clay, that way we can make sure that they are bound together. And I do a similar technique for the protrusions on both of the heads for their little vent pipes. So I did some sculpting off camera with Milliput. So here is the beginning stages of our Weedle. That's also going to be on here. And a nice little Qwilfish. I decided I wanted to have like a little lake running through the sculpture itself. It winds up turning into just a little kind of like ravine slash ditch. And I figure if I had the Weezing, I was going to do an Arbok, but as you can see, instead I did an Ekans. So yeah. On to the painting. For the little drums that were next to the Weedle, I decided I wanted them to have like a rusty kind of look. One was going to be open and empty of its contents, and the other one was going to be spilling into the lake. With this, I started off with a dark gray and did progressively lighter strokes of gray on there. And at this point, I'm adding like a rustish tone color. That way it looks like they have been out in the elements for a long period of time. And onto our Ekans. The first thing I want to do is I am blocking off the section of the neck that's going to have his little yellow band. That way we don't paint that purple by accident. And as we work through on the Ekans, we're going to add a dark shade of purple for the base, and then progressively add lighter shades as we go through. And now we're working on the little band around his neck and his eyes. Much like the skin tone, we're going to start with a darker yellow and then progressively add lighter and lighter shades until we get the desired effect that we wanted. Weedle, much like the yellow bands on the Ekans, we just start with a dark yellow base and add progressively lighter shades. So I painted the Weezing off camera and I started adding little smoke billows to him. To do that, I would add a pin, paint it black, and then I took the tops of Q-tips and stretched out the cotton on those. I really wish I had cotton balls because it would have looked a little bit better. But the cotton balls themselves kind of look like a wispy smoke. And then I used a combination of watered down Mod Podge and water in a spray bottle to spray those just to stiffen up the cotton. That way it would retain its shape. And here I am adding Mod Podge directly to the base. I'm going to start adding a sand on top of the area. So I want sand on the bottom of the lake slash ravine slash ditch. And as you can see, I did one layer of sand towards the back portion. Now I'm working on my way around the Qwilfish. And I'm going to add some sand here as well. And similar to the previous step, we're just adding some Mod Podge directly to the base, in between some of the little mounds, where we're going to add a little bit of Army Painter battlefield terrain. That way it's more of like a dirt as opposed to a sand. It'll give it more of a kind of like barren land kind of look. At this point, I wanted to see what everything looked like before I added the UV resin for the water. I noticed some parts of the land were looking a little bit bland, so I added a variation in color by doing a lighter brown with a cream color to bring out any of the highlights of the ground texture that I had done earlier. And here is the final result. I do appreciate you for tuning in. If you made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below, all that jazz. And I'm gonna stop talking now. So, bye.